a single-celled eukaryote evolved for the first time on the face of this earth. It reverts back to a non-chordate or an invertebrate condition. Hence, the opposite of metamorphosis occurs. A negative metamorphosis occurs known as retrogressive metamorphosis. Another example is the axolotl. The axolotl. This axolotl is a salamander, an amphibian, belonging to the subclass. There are three subclasses: Apoda, the ichthyophis, Anudans, the frogs, and the Urodela. So, belonging to the subclass Urodela. Now, let us look into the embryological evidences for evolution. The first person who looked into embryologies or looked into the development of embryo in different kinds of animals as an evidence for evolution was Ernst Haeckel, and he gave his famous recapitulation theory or biogenetic law, which states ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. So, what is ontogeny? What is phylogeny? And why recapitulation? Let us understand. Ontogeny refers to the stages of embryonic development, whereas phylogeny refers to evolutionary relationships. Let us understand these terms and their interrelation and why recapitulation using the example of human embryo. We all know the origin of man is from the unification of a sperm and an ovum. A sperm fertilizes the ovum, transfers its chromosome, the nuclei of the sperm and the ovum fuses, forming a diploid single-celled eukaryotic organism known as a zygote. Now, think of that momentous event that occurred 1.5 billion years ago when a single-celled eukaryote evolved for the first time on the face of this earth. Sounds similar? We also start off from a single-celled diploid eukaryotic zygote. All other eukaryotic organisms, they also started off as a single-celled unicellular eukaryote. Right? Next up, we start dividing into a morula, then we develop a cavity, okay, known as the blastocele, and we are known as the blastula. Then that cavity gets converted into coelom, and we form three germ layers: the ectoderm, from which skin, bones and nerves form; the endoderm, from which the internal visceral organs form; and the mesoderm, which forms the connective tissue such as blood and lymph and gametes. The three germ layers arise, and we are known as a gastrula. Till now, we do not have a dorsal notochord and a dorsal hollow nerve cord. Till this stage, we do not have post-anal tail. We just have a coelom. We just have the three germ layers. This is reminiscent of an invertebrate. So, from the eukaryotes, the first group of animals that evolved were the invertebrates. So, a human embryo also represents a sort of invertebrate-like condition. Then notochord, nerve cord, post-anal tail occurs, which represents the primitive chordates like the cephalochordates, the urochordates. Okay, protochordate group of animals are represented by that. Later, vertebral column develops and we develop gill slits in the embryo. Okay, so this represents the earliest of all vertebrates, that is the fishes. Not the fishes, I must say, the agnathans. Then we developed, till then we have a cartilaginous endoskeleton. Okay, then we developed jaws. We then represent the gnathostomatans, and we appeared like a fish, at least anatomically. Then the gills starts degrading, degenerating, lungs develop, 4-chambered hearts develop, and slowly we metamorphose like an amphibian. Then we developed skins. Okay, we developed thin nails. We developed fully functional heart and lungs suitable for a terrestrial mode of life like the reptiles. And then we developed hairs on our body, and the mammalian route of evolution kicks in, and the embryo follows that mammalian route of development, and the human is formed, the human baby is formed. So, stages of embryonic development, they actually recapitulate, they actually mirror or represent evolutionary relationship between eukaryotes, non-chordates, chordates, and the various classes under the chordates. So ontogeny recapitulates or remembers or represents phylogeny or evolutionary relationship. And since every human embryo on this planet undergoes the same procedure for development, it is known as the recapitulation theory, because embryonic development recapitulates or remembers and follows the track of evolutionary relationship of eukaryotes, of non-chordates and chordates. The sequence of evolution from eukaryotes to non-chordates to protochordates to chordates. Embryonic development remembers that, follows that, reenacts that. Hence it is known as recapitulation theory. And Haeckel, when he observed this theory, he said that okay, since embryonic development mirrors the different stages of evolution, the different phases of evolution, the different relationship of evolution, this means that evolution has really occurred, and the memories of evolution are still stored in our genes. That is why the genes makes our development process follow a similar route, hence biogenetic law. Okay, so this is the embryological, one of the embryological evidence. There are other evidences for evolution as well. We know metamorphosis is the development of more sophisticated, complicated features from less sophisticated, primitive features. But retrogressive metamorphosis is the opposite of conventional metamorphosis. Let us look at an example. The Ascidian tadpole. Okay, Ascidians are under phylum Chordata and belong to subphylum Urochordata. They are primitive chordates or protochordates. This Ascidian tadpole has myotomes or muscles. It has a tail-like structure for swimming, a post-anal tail, mind it, a post-anal tail for swimming made up of myotomes or primitive muscles. to help it to move. It has got an esophagus, a digestive system. Okay, it has got gills. It has got notochord and a dorsal nerve cord. But when it becomes an adult ascidian, it loses the myotomes, it loses the postnasal tail, it loses the digestive tract, it loses the notochord, it loses the nerve cord, and it reverts back to an invertebrate condition. So from a chordate condition, it reverts back to a non-chordate or an invertebrate condition. Hence, the opposite of metamorphosis occurs. A negative metamorphosis occurs known as retrogressive metamorphosis. This indicates that all the chordates have evolved from non-chordate ancestors. Okay. Next, we have neoteny. What is neoteny? Neoteny is nothing but retention of larval features in adults. Okay, retention of larval feature in adults. See, cartilaginous endoskeleton is a larval feature in vertebrates, but in case of chondrichthyes such as sharks, stingrays, manta rays, the cartilaginous endoskeleton is present in them throughout their lives. So this is an example of neoteny. Another example is the axolotl. The axolotl. This axolotl is a salamander, an amphibian, belonging to the subclass. There are three subclasses: Apoda, the ichthyophis, Anudans, the frogs, and the Urodellans. So belonging to the subclass Urodella. So this axolotl, even if it has grown to like adult size, it retains its larval gills and larval features. However, it is still a larva, it is not an adult. And while being in the larval stage, it attains reproductive maturity. Okay, so attainment of reproductive maturity in larval state, this is known as pedomorphosis. This is also exhibited by axolotls. Okay, so axolotl retains their external gills, the larval feature even in the adult form, whereas when it is still a larva, it reaches the adult body size and attains reproductive maturity known as pedomorphosis. So axolotl is a very important animal indicating the various aspects of evolution. Okay, so what does neoteny signify? Neoteny signifies that sometimes primitive features are retained in course of evolution because they are beneficial. Okay, and this signifies that if the need arises, evolution can force an animal to be reproductively active even before it reaches its full physical maturity. This is a very rare case. Pedomorphosis does not occur all the time. It only occurs when the adult population has been decimated, when the adult population has fallen to a degree when there are very few or almost no adults left for reproduction. So to continue the species, to help maintain the population, the larva attains reproductive maturity. So evolution always works in favor to maintain a species and to ensure the maintenance and the existence of a species and its different populations. Evolution can even force reproductive maturity into larvae before they attain their full physical maturity or adulthood. This is known as pedomorphosis. So these are the various embryological and the various other evidences and facets of evolution that we need to study for our curriculum.